They were everywhere in the 70s, then vanished without a trace. There was a time when you simply couldn't escape them. Every magazine cover, every television screen, every newspaper entertainment section. Their smiles sold millions of magazines. Their names dominated ratings. Their faces became part of everyday American life. For an entire generation, they weren't just actresses. They were television itself. Audiences believed they would remain Hollywood royalty forever. But somehow, the cameras stopped following them. The headlines grew smaller. New faces arrived. And one by one, they quietly disappeared from the center of the spotlight. So how did Hollywood forget them? Tonight, we revisit the remarkable stories of Susan Dey, Cheryl Ladd, and Cybill Shepherd. Three women who defined the 1970s before watching the industry move on without them. Susan Dey, the girl next door America grew up with. Long before she became one of television's most recognizable faces, Susan Dey was simply a shy teenager from New York. After losing her mother at a young age, she was raised by her father and initially dreamed of becoming a model rather than an actress. Modeling opened doors, but acting changed everything. In 1970, with almost no professional acting experience, Dey was cast as Laurie Partridge in the Partridge Family. The series became an instant sensation. Practically overnight, millions of households welcomed the Partridge Family into their living rooms every week. Susan wasn't just another television actress. She became America's girl next door. Teen magazines featured her constantly. Fan mail poured in by the thousands. Young viewers admired her effortless charm, while television executives saw her as one of the brightest young stars of the decade. But success came with invisible pressure. Being part of such an enormously successful family sitcom also became a creative prison. No matter how much she matured as an actress, audiences continued seeing Laurie Partridge. The role that made her famous also threatened to define her forever. Determined to prove herself, Dey spent years taking more dramatic roles. Her persistence paid off. In the 1980s, she reinvented herself on the legal drama LA Law, earning multiple Emmy nominations and winning a Golden Globe. For many actors, that would have launched another decade of superstardom. Instead, Susan Dey slowly chose a different path. As Hollywood became increasingly driven by celebrity culture and relentless publicity, she grew more private. Rather than chasing constant exposure, she stepped away from the entertainment industry's spotlight. By the early 2000s, she had largely retired from acting altogether. There was no dramatic scandal, no public collapse, only a quiet decision to live life beyond Hollywood. Today, Susan Dey remains remembered as one of television's most beloved actresses, a performer whose warmth defined an era, and whose absence only made audiences appreciate her work even more. Cheryl Ladd, the woman who had the impossible job. Replacing a superstar rarely ends well, but Cheryl Ladd faced an even greater challenge. She wasn't replacing just any actress, she was stepping into one of the biggest television phenomena in America. Born in South Dakota, Ladd originally pursued music before moving into acting. Throughout the early 1970s, she accepted small television roles, while waiting for the opportunity that every young actress hoped would arrive. It finally did in 1977. After Farrah Fawcett left Charlie's Angels, many believed the show itself was finished. Instead, Cheryl Ladd joined the cast as Chris Monroe. Viewers were skeptical. Replacing an icon seemed impossible. Yet something unexpected happened. Audiences embraced her. Her approachable personality, natural charisma, and genuine chemistry with the cast helped keep the series among television's biggest successes. Soon, Cheryl Ladd became a star in her own right. Magazine covers, television specials, hit songs, commercial endorsements, she seemed to be everywhere. But television fame can become surprisingly limiting. Although producers recognized her popularity, Hollywood often continued seeing her primarily as the Angel. The label followed her into auditions. Typecasting narrowed opportunities. As the 1980s progressed, television itself was changing. New genres emerged. New audiences arrived. The era that had created massive ensemble television stars slowly gave way to different styles of programming. Ladd continued working consistently in television movies, Broadway productions, and guest appearances. Unlike many former stars, she never truly disappeared. She simply stopped being at the center of popular culture. Outside Hollywood, she focused increasingly on family, writing, philanthropy, and selective acting projects that allowed greater balance. Looking back today, Cheryl Ladd represents something increasingly rare, a star who survived enormous expectations without allowing fame to completely define her life. Cybill Shepherd, the star who refused to stay in one box. Some careers begin with determination, others begin almost by accident. Cybill Shepherd's extraordinary beauty first attracted attention through modeling. Winning beauty competitions led to magazine work, which soon caught Hollywood's attention. Director Peter Bogdanovich cast her in The Last Picture Show in 1971. The film became both a critical and commercial triumph. Almost instantly, Shepherd became one of Hollywood's brightest young actresses. The industry believed she possessed everything necessary for lasting superstardom: beauty, confidence, talent, screen presence. Throughout the early 1970s, she starred in films that kept her firmly among Hollywood's rising elite. But success behind the camera wasn't always as smooth as audiences imagined. Her highly publicized relationship with Bogdanovich attracted enormous media attention. Instead of discussing only her performances, newspapers increasingly focused on her personal life. Hollywood has always loved stories, sometimes even more than actors. As years passed, career momentum slowed. Some films underperformed, industry tastes shifted, the blockbuster era transformed studio priorities. Actresses who had once thrived in character-driven dramas found themselves competing in an entirely different Hollywood. Yet Shepherd refused to disappear. Instead, she reinvented herself. In the 1980s, she returned triumphantly to television opposite Bruce Willis in Moonlighting. The series became one of television's defining successes, earning her multiple Golden Globe Awards and introducing her to an entirely new generation. Later, Cybill once again demonstrated her ability to lead a successful television series. Still, by the late 1990s and beyond, the relentless pace of Hollywood gradually slowed around her. She continued acting, writing, and speaking publicly, but no longer occupied the constant spotlight she once commanded. Rather than fading through failure, Cybill Shepherd evolved. She adapted to changing times while refusing to let a single role define her identity. Final reflection: Hollywood measures success by opening weekends, television ratings, award ceremonies, and magazine covers, but those numbers were never the whole story. Long after the cameras stopped rolling, certain performances continue living inside the memories of the people who watched them. Susan Dey reminded audiences that kindness could be unforgettable. Cheryl Ladd proved that replacing a legend didn't mean living in someone else's shadow. Cybill Shepherd showed that reinvention is sometimes the greatest performance of all. Their names may no longer dominate headlines, their faces may no longer appear on every magazine rack, but disappearing from Hollywood does not erase the joy they brought to millions. Because true legends are not remembered simply for how long they stayed famous, they are remembered for the moments that made audiences believe, laugh, dream, and feel. And those moments never truly vanish.